and bad jokes. That's what we're here for.
Hey,
Yeah.
and it says right here we should click here to say end stream. So we should probably wait like a little while before.
It's like a protest.
Don't let him suffer.
End stream.
Yeah, don't let him suffer. Go ahead and end it.
They may hurt us, but they'll never take our streams. Oh boy, that's a horrible impression I have of.
Hey, I never did
somebody
get
doing an
feedback.
impression of somebody else doing an impression.
You know, one time I said in stream, and I said this podcast is getting stale. I need a new host. Was the feedback I sent the StreamYard? Nobody replied.
Are you saying nobody replied? Like somebody didn't say, "Here's somebody you might want to consider," or something?
Yeah.
Here's a list of candidates from LinkedIn for.
Oh.
Label podcast
response.
Will work for food or whatever the hashtag is they put on LinkedIn.
Will work for the exposure.
Hello, Craig. This is your generative AI podcast co-host.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have heard, because I think, Craig, you did one yourself of the podcast that the Gemini can just create all by itself. So you just say, okay, here's the topic, go for it. And just,
did you listen? I think I shared it with everybody. Did you listen to it?
Yep.
Yeah, it was so funny how it came up like a review of Technorama.
And then it imploded. It was really weird.
Okay. Yeah, it was weird.
All right. So we should be just about ready to go because everyone has all their show notes in front of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the ticket.
Yeah.
Yes. Ready to go.
All right.
Gemini, make some show notes for this show.
Carefully, it just might.
Yes, it would.
Okay, well.
Ready to go. You want to count in?
Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
This is The Topic is Trek for Friday, May 16th, 2025. He says, guessing, because I don't have any show notes. We're going to be winging this episode. Coming up in this episode, we wing it. Also, a tour of Paramount Studios, and we get a date. No, we're not desperate like that. We mean we get a date for the release of season 3 of Strange New Worlds.
Yay.
All that and more right now on The Topic is Trek. Star Trek Goes Hollywood. Welcome to The Topic is Trek, the podcast that runs on impulse power. Join us for a journey where no show has gone before. If it has to do with Star Trek, there's a good chance we'll talk about it sooner or later, because on this show, the topic is Trek. Engage already. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another thrill-packed edition of The Topic is Trek. I'm Clinton, one of your co-hosts, and as I always say here on the show, and at other times as well, in order to be a co-host, I have to have other hosts. So, beaming in to join me from parts unknown, first of all, with the hip new catchphrase that all the kids will be talking about in daycare, I guess, is Mr. Craig Stepp.
I'd like to buy a vowel, Pat.
Well, Pat's really not doing the show these days, so
I'd like to buy a vowel.
Okay, sure. Give me $20 and I'll let you have one. There you go.
Yeah,
I could make out on this deal. This is great.
Wow,
I like
the whole alphabet for $350.
And also beaming in to join us is Mr. Chuck Tomasi.
Are we sure?
Well, he's got the long transport. You got to crank it up a bit.
He's got the hand crank.
Craig, the kids in daycare may actually be talking about vowels. That was
true.
That was strangely appropriate for what Clinton prompted.
Yeah, you never know.
Indeed. And we have some news that somebody at Paramount slipped up on.
Wait a minute. Federation standard vowels or Klingon vowels?
Well, Klingon vowels, I think with Klingon, you also have to pay for the apostrophes.
Yes.
and that's just going to cost you a lot.
Yeah.
Leave off the E's for savings.
Yeah. So we found out today, that's right, the day we're recording, not the day after we record, that we have a launch date for season 3 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Yes.
And that date will be July 17th.
Yes. I'm ready for it.
So you gotta say this. I'm ready. No, that's from season 2.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I must. Hey, by the way, from what I understand, the premiere will have 2 episodes, and then they'll release one a week until September 11th, I think it was.
And I don't know what is up with that. That this is something that Paramount Plus does, at least with Star Trek. I don't know if it does it with other things, because we would find that, right? You have shows going from, say, Lower Decks season is wrapping up, and Picard is starting. So they'd both be on the same day, the first episode. You always seem to have 2. And if there's only one show, which at this point there is only one show until we get Starfleet Academy, they're going to show 2 episodes of Strange New Worlds.
I've seen other streaming companies doing that. I'm trying to remember the last show my wife and I were watching, and I think it had 2 or 3 when it first premiered, and then it was like 1 a week after that.
It just, I think it's so strange when you only have 10 episodes to begin with.
Yeah.
You would think you'd want to
stretch it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long wait after that.
And I'll tell you, I just finished Star Wars Andor, and I thought it was
You got 2 episodes to go.
Yeah, Andor. It's a
as a programmer, you're going, why are they calling it and/or? That doesn't make any sense.
Yes, and operators. No, Star Wars Andor. It came out 3 episodes each week, so it's like was it not last night, but the night before, 3 episodes dropped, and it was like the last. But each week it was 3 episodes, so you could kind of binge it, without watching the whole thing right in a row.
Was it 9 episodes or 12 episodes?
12.
Okay.
It was 12.
All right. Well,
I kind of like that because I can kind of have a little mini marathon until the next week.
But then after that, episode 12 is over. Going, wow, that's really great. When are they going to have it? Oh, well, I guess like another 3 years.
Go watch Rogue One again.
Yeah.
How does this continue?
Yeah. Now tumbleweeds are going across my screen.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I know. So disappointed. We took a trip on Route 66. Not one tumbleweed. Not one.
You should have gotten out and just pushed one across the
should have
road.
All right. So we are going to be talking about what I did on my vacation, because I went to California specifically to go to an event at Universal Studios. But while I was out there, I said, with all the talking I do about this particular place, I think it's time I actually visit there. So I did.
Alcatraz.
Yes. No, I got out of there.
It's reopening.
Me and Clint Eastwood, the Clints got out of there. Bonnie and I went on the Paramount tour. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about Universal Studios Hollywood Fan Fest Nights, which is the full title, which is very long. All right, let's begin with the first part with an appropriate sound effect.
I
don't think I saw any tribbles there. Vasquez Rocks. Well, I've visited Vasquez Rocks. So you guys have been to Vasquez Rocks, haven't you?
No, I haven't been at all. No, I'd love to.
I thought he was talking about the movie Aliens. Vasquez Rocks. Cool.
You mean that's where they filmed Bill and Ted 2, wasn't it?
They filmed a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I was watching. What was the most recent one? The one that was. It was kind of like a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, but it wasn't Guardians of the Galaxy. But it was this big budget. Kevin Hart was in it, and Jack Black was the voice of a robot or something in it. And
you got me.
I can't remember what the name of it was, but I think Cate Blanchett was in it. But anyway, pretty much the entire trailer, once they get to a planet, they're just at Vasquez Rocks. They're just there. The rest of the movie, I guess they get stuck. Because there's this cactus here. You can get stuck on things there.
Craig, I think you and I ought to go there and film something silly.
We could do that anywhere.
Yeah.
I would love to do
Touche.
that
It
actually.
would just have to be a trope to be at Vasquez Rocks.
Well,
Yeah.
it's funny you bring that up because as soon as Jared asked about Vasquez Rocks and Clinton asked if we had been there, I was thinking I'm gonna have to fly out to Phoenix. We're gonna have to drive out and go to Vasquez Rocks.
We can do a Southwest tour.
Surely there's something else we can say. We can go to the big crater.
Yeah. It's
Meteor
not,
crater?
it's not like right next door or anything.
No,
No,
it's
on the way.
Couple hours. No, it's not on the way. Meteor crater's in the other direction.
It's closer on the map than it is from here. Never mind.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah. It's only this far. What are you talking about?
Vasquez Rocks, where Kirk smashed a Gorn and Rafi got stoned,
Where she lived, wasn't it?
among
Yep.
other things.
Yep, right there. That trailer was like parked right at the. It was you couldn't miss it. It was like
She wasn't
right
living in
there.
the trailer down by the river. She
No.
was in the trailer out in Vasquez Rocks.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk a bit about the Paramount Studios studio tour. That's a lot of studio you guys going on there.
Yes.
And there were 3 different tiers of tours. Wow, tiers of tours that you can take. Tiers of tours you can take.
Did you have
And-
tears on this tour?
The Paramount Studio studio tour. There's lots of tiers of tours you can take. How about
yeah,
that?
you can pay for the Paramount Plus studio.
Yeah,
tour.
well, that's another story altogether.
Hey,
There's a bunch of servers.
So you can pay $80 for a 2-hour tour.
data center.
Yeah. Or $150 for a 3-hour tour,
bunch of flashing lights. Yeah.
or a $220 for a 4.5-hour tour, which is the VIP tour, and I believe that
Wow.
one also includes a meal. So,
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
exactly, Eric. You've got that right. So we opted for, drum roll please, the $80 tour
Okay.
because that was good enough. Good enough is good enough. And actually, it's not just a walking tour. You have I would call it like a single vehicle tram. So it's not like a golf cart. You could probably fit about 12 people in there, as well as a tour guide
Mhm.
in this thing. And it's some driving. Then you get off, and the person talks about some particular spot. You get back on again. It reminded me an awful lot of the old Universal Studios tour, where you would get on a tram at the beginning and you could get off and
Mhm.
go to different things down in the lower lot, the different sound stages, they had things set up there. So it kind of reminded me of that, although this is not of the same scale. Paramount Studios is not as even large as Universal Studios.
Sure.
But that being said, the first thing that happened when we got there, we did not go through the main gate. Because
Oh,
yeah, the entrance is off to the side. I've been to the main gate though. When I
You can
went
walk
to
through it like Bugs Bunny.
yeah.
deliveries around back.
Yeah.
Oh, Pismo Beach. It should be right around here. No,
Yeah.
when I went to Gene Star, we had they had a party for Gene, and I was one of the people that was invited to it. So I got to drive in the front, which was pretty exciting for that one. But this one, you go off to the side and you go into a little building where it's so dark when you walk in the door to begin with. It seems
How
like-
dark is it?
Well, you're supposed to be showing an ID to this person after you go through a little metal detector,
Yes.
but we blew right through the metal detector because it looked like there's just this dark tunnel inside this building. It was really weird. And they said, you have to go back. And the guys, I mean, they're very nice about it, but still it was kind of weird.
Mhm.
Inside the Welcome Center, they have a bunch of different displays. One of them is called the Paramount Story, and it's a bunch of
Mm.
still images and then text beside it that talk about the founding of the studio, different productions that have happened there. And Desilu Studios does get its own picture. You've got Lucy and Desi there, and a story about Desilu Studios. And Star Trek gets its own as well. And there's not like an infinite number of these images, so that's good to see that it got that kind of representation.
Is that Wings down below?
Wings, yes, Paramount produced Wings, which was the first movie to ever win the Academy Award for Best Motion Picture.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mhm.
Wow. Cool.
I did notice, however, that there were a couple of, and I'll talk about a couple of these. They haven't updated this in a while because for Star Trek, it says, of the 12 movies. I'm going. Actually, there's 13 movies at this
Somebody
point.
come and
so-
update the plaque.
yeah, it needs work. You got to see some costumes. There were several of Elton John's costumes from the movie Rocket Man, which I thought was very appropriate to have. You're like, I'm a Rocket Man. There was also a uniform of from Top Gun, and then Zachary Quinto and Zoe Saldana's outfits from Star Trek. I believe they were from Star Trek Beyond. There, they also had props in there. We got give some props to the props. We had a phaser, a communicator, a tricorder, all from the Kelvin timeline.
Right.
So a lot of the stuff that was in the center was themed to the Kelvin timeline stuff because it was obviously the most current stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say it must have been updated within the last several years because that would have been Kelvin focus.
Right. Because this one makes reference to the plaque says these are from 2009 and 2013. So that would be Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness for those two, which brought me to another thing where it's like, okay, I'm a nerd and I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. I'll just tell Bonnie and then I've got it out of my system and then I can move on. There's a screen in one of the rooms and it's just all these titles are going by of movies that Paramount has produced. So, Godfather, all these things happening. And I see Star Trek go by and I realize it's not meaning the franchise, it's meaning about the 2009 movie. Then a bit later comes along Star Trek: Into Darkness. And I went, I want to, that's wrong. That's
Nobody
so
proofed that.
Nope.
Oh, man.
So I held back, didn't say anything about it. So
actually, there's no colon in the title.
I'm writing a letter.
Well, the tour guide let us hold an actual Oscar.
Oh, really?
That was, and it's much heavier than you would think it'd be. It's almost like it's made out of lead and just with a thin coating on top.
Oh, it's not gold?
No. But it's actually very heavy, and they have one in a case that you can take out and do a little photo op with.
Did it say what it was from?
Yeah, well, this is where it's like, oh, I want to.
It was from Star Trek: Into Darkness.
No, it was for the special effects team who worked on War of the Worlds.
Oh, okay.
And the tour guide said, directed by Orson Welles. It's like, no, Orson Welles directed the radio play. He did not direct the movie that you won this Academy Award for. That's a different production of War of the Worlds from 1953.
Revising
But
history.
the visual effects on the radio production were outstanding.
Yeah, the radio looked exactly like a radio. It's like you could reach out and touch it.
Beautiful.
Oh, my goodness. So as we're leaving this area to go on the actual tour, there was a production board up and it had the things currently filming on set, some of which were just like unnamed production. But I noticed that one was filming on stages 31 and 32. And I was kind of like, oh, this is not good. And I'll tell you why. I think it's the next slide that I've got here. Right. So we actually end up going by the outside of it of stage 31 and connected to it is stage 32. And the other side is 29, 28, and I think 27. These are the sound stages all connected together that were part of the Desilu studio. And stage 31 is where the bridge of the Enterprise and sick bay and the transporter and all that stuff was located. I have a little, if you're watching the video, I have a little insert of, I believe that was Matt Jeffrey's actual model he did up of the sound stage. Yeah, it's like this color thing with a mishmash of stuff. And there's a red border around it. And those are the actual physical walls. Shows where the walls are. So this is like everything butts up against every single part of this sound stage. Now the door was, that loading dock door was open, but we couldn't go inside because they were filming something. So
that was the Paramount Plus tour.
Yes. Yeah, the VIP tour could go in there. They could.
Lunch is here.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So a side note for me, which is kind of a nerd thing, is also filmed on this exact same soundstage was the library, the study group library for Community was on this exact same stage.
Oh,
So they have a plaque beside the doors of all the studios to say these are some memorable productions that were done there. And Top Hat is first. It's the Fred Astaire movie, but second is Star Trek, enlisting the 60s Star Trek from 65 to 69 in there. So it's pretty darn
Wow.
cool.
hey, I know the exterior of this wall probably looks like the other 100 buildings around there, but there's that picture with Leonard Nimoy leaning up against the car,
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I think it looks like in a similar area where Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner are eating lunch off a paper plate.
I almost put those photos in.
Because is that right there?
Well, I think where they were doing that was probably around the back of the building, because
Okay.
you can. I think I found a color photo, and these buildings are all painted kind of just a beige color,
Yeah.
but they're textured, and they probably only had their break to just go outside the doors to eat and then go right back in again. So I think it was on the back side of here, because the door didn't
Okay.
look quite right for the side that we were on. I want to say that the picture of Leonard Nimoy with the car was shot on the lot, but not near the sound stages. It was some other thing that he was near. It might have been the transformer station for the studios, I think, something
Okay.
like that.
Right.
But at least I got a chance to see it. And as I said, they mentioned all the different Star Treks on here, and I know there's at least one permutation, one stage where there were at least 5 different Star Trek productions. Reason I know this is because we got a chance to get off of the tram, the mini tram, and go into a live set that was between seasons. So we're walking towards the entrance to the soundstage, and suddenly this big whap and a noise. Bonnie was trying to catch up to us while looking at the placard on one of the sound stages, counting the number of Star Trek iterations there were. And she counted 5 before she ran straight into a pole.
Oh no.
Yeah. I mean, she was fine. She just kind of clipped it with her arm.
Oh, okay.
But she said, well, I know there were at least 5.
Right. What are some of the other ones that were on here? Is that All in the Family, maybe?
I see.
No,
Little
that's
House on the
91,
Prairie.
92. Never mind.
Do I have? Let me see if I
That's
can.
too
hold on.
late.
Adam's Family Values.
I think Adam's Family Values is in
Oh,
there. If
yep.
I can, let me call up the.
It's probably Adam's Family and Adam's Family Values.
Yeah.
The ones that are listed on here are Top Hat, Star Trek, Little House on the Prairie,
Right.
King Kong, the 1976 version,
Mm.
The Royal Family, Adam's Family Values, Coneheads was shot there,
Oh, okay.
or at least some of it. Obviously, some of these are more than one soundstage. Indecent Proposal,
Mm-hmm.
Wayne's World,
2.
a very Wayne's World 2, a Very Brady sequel,
Oh, that's cool. All right.
Becker, and Community.
Okay.
So
Cool. All right. I was just curious. Yeah, I saw half the titles there on the screen. And so if you're listening to our podcast, consider go watching it, because you can see some of the pictures that he's gotten here.
All right, and then let's see what happens.
Dear listener.
And then we get to the props area. Near the end of the tour, we got to go into it. It wasn't the prop shop per se. You didn't go into the giant warehouse. This was a building set up that just was displaying some props, and there were a fair number of Star Trek props in here. And there's going to be homework in here in just a minute, so pay attention, because there's one that I couldn't figure out. What is this? What is this thing? What is this?
Oh, so Paramount stumped you.
Yes.
Oh, whoa. History's been made. Okay.
But what the first thing I'm showing here is we have one of the Kelvin pods, or the escape pods, and from Star Trek Beyond. And I've got the photo of where it's sitting in the prop shop. And then this is not the same one, because I looked at all the different.
The
markings of
detailing
dirt.
on the front is a little different.
Right.
Yeah.
And there were at least 2 if not 3 of these made, because where you see this, only place you really see this model, the outside of it, is when they've landed on the planet. So the aliens one is kind of the parachute is making it hang from a tree straight down, and then Chekhov is at his and Kirk's is nearby. So this may have been the one that was Kirk's, because it does the markings, the dirt that they paint onto it did not match up those other 2. But also notice that if you're looking at this photo, you'll see that the nose cone section has all the dirt on it, and the back section is completely clean on the prop in the prop shop. So my guess is the other possibility is these are spares, and they just put 2 pieces together to make a whole thing to have in the
Right.
display.
Yeah, the lid that pops off is spotless.
Now let me guess. The other pictures you have here, that's the transporter from the Yorktown, the public ones.
Yep, that's what it is.
Okay.
Good
So
job.
I have a screenshot to show the one time you get to see it in a close up, and it definitely is the same one. It's got the same instructions. It doesn't. I don't believe it had a "you are here," because that would be, well, there's a clearly one that says "you are here," but it doesn't do that. But you could read the instructions on it to say you have to first select the zone you want to go to,
Oh, it says Rutledge Transporter on it.
and then you press this other button to actually transport. So it's a 2-step process to do that one. It's very, very cumbersome.
It does look like a mall map or something like that. On the front of it.
Yeah.
You
So
would say, oh, that's where I need to go.
I guess what they're doing is they're laying out just flat the entire, circumference of it, so you can see the whole thing at once.
Well, Scotty did set transporters up where he could go from one planet to another. Why can't you can only do the park?
Yeah, really.
Cheap public transporter.
Let's see. Then there's not a transporter, but this was one of the turbo lifts from Star Trek Beyond, and I figured out which one that one was, because when I'm watching Star Trek Beyond going, oh, well, this is not the right one, because it's weird. It's very strange that when Kirk goes onto the bridge, the background of that turbo lift does not look like this at all.
No. Yeah.
But then Spock
Nice.
and McCoy go into the one on the other side of the bridge, because they've got one on either side, like kitty corner to the captain's chair. And it's this one. So this is the one that they were
The
going into.
surface elevator.
Well, it's strange because apparently it's very airtight, because I believe they get, when the Enterprise is being hacked to bits, that this actual tube just kind of jettisons
Oh, that's
out of
right.
space.
Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, that's right.
But I gave all sorts of commands and everything, and it didn't do a darn thing.
Stupid.
Not trained to your
Or-
voice.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
All right. Now I found a prop way up on the second floor, which you couldn't get to. But I'm going, what is that thing? What is that? There's a thing. What is that thing that's up there? Not the weird guy's head. That's a whole nother issue. Like, I did ask the tour guide what that was, and I've completely forgotten what it was.
Did he
Kind of
know?
like Quark crossed with a human.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
early
like
Ferengi prototype.
Tuvix of Quark.
Yeah.
They did know, but I've completely forgotten. So let me zoom in a bit more. This is what I was seeing up there. Can you tell what it is now?
I think it looks like the back of a chair. It looks like the back of a Enterprise chair. There you go.
Why
It
is it
is.
backwards?
I don't know. But
That is exactly the right one, though.
yeah, and because it's even got the silver trim that's like halfway down on the piece
right.
that wraps around the back.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was it just kind of sitting there, not because the stuff on the second floor is not tagged in any way. It's just sitting up
Mhm.
there. And I don't
I'd
know.
buy that for $1.
Hey, Chuck, it's turned around because it's now converted into a toilet.
Oh, I don't want to know anymore.
They repurpose these props all the time.
There's a joke in there about the captain's log, but I'm not going to say it.
Thank you for taking the high road.
I think you did.
Well, thank you for taking the medium road then.
I leave it to your imagination and your 4th grade brain.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
Now
what this show's all about.
here's your homework, because here's this thing.
Hmm.
Now, if you're just listening, it's kind of hard to describe, except it's easy to describe at the same time, because it was hanging from the ceiling in the this prop shop, and I asked the tour guide, what is that? And she says, oh, that was going to be used in Star Trek, but they got this thing from Lucasfilm saying, well, that thing's much too close to looking like one of our, speeder bikes.
It's got the front end of an X-wing. Yeah, it is kind of like a speeder bike.
So
Actually,
they said,
if you
yeah.
flip it upside down, it almost looks like some kind of weapon.
But it's got about halfway down where that curved piece is, about halfway down the thing, there are foot pedals and there that it's hard to see. Now, I took that and went, yeah, but what's its deal? So I found someone's photo who had a couple of these props used to have a little 8.5 by 11 tag attached to them. And this was one of the props that used to have that. And I could read what it said on it. And it said, let me see if I'm trying to get this precise here. I don't have that here, but it said that it was either a steel or a skeet bike from, and it had Star Trek letterhead on it type of thing. And then it said production HH. Now a project HH, I'm sorry, or HH project. The thing is that below that, it said Iowa Cop. Now, here's the deal.
Oh, I know
Iowa Cop. Yeah, but the Iowa Cop, right, was in Star Trek 2009.
Yep.
And their bike doesn't look like this at all. It looks more like a motorcycle without wheels on it. Okay. I thought, okay, so maybe they shot, this first, and ILM is going in to do all the effects work and go, whoa, hey, whoa, hold on a second. But HH Project was the code name for Star Trek Into Darkness.
Oh.
So I cannot believe there are two movies that have an Iowa Cop in it, yet it clearly identifies that this would have been from Star Trek Into Darkness. So I'm lost. I can't figure out, what is this thing?
Iowa Cop.
John Harrison used to be an Iowa Cop.
Ah.
That was the twist we all missed.
Yeah, we would all been waiting for that. And anytime I put it into something that would recognize the image to try to identify it, like even Google, but there's other ones that I use as well to reverse look it up. It will either show me a photo that looks just like mine, or it will show me Star Wars speeder bikes. And
so Lucasfilm was right.
yeah, but I want to know, it bugs me. It really bugs me, man, that I don't know what the heck the story of this thing was.
It's interesting because it does look like kind of like somebody could sit and their legs could come around on the right hand side because it's curved.
There are foot pedals down there as well. And
I'm not sure if you lean back on this thing. If you do, then the foot pedals are in the wrong place, and if you lean forward, you're going to get something in your gut. I'm not.
But
sure
it does
economics
of this thing.
I remember in Star Trek 2009, the bike that the cop was on did have like these little pedals that hung down.
Yeah, like I said, it essentially just looks like a motorcycle without wheels. Is
the one they used in the production?
Yeah. So if anybody has any insight into what the heck this thing's deal is, I'm gonna also pose this to Larry Nemechek to see if he's got some info on it. It just.
Oh, Clinton, it's from Men in Black.
Yeah, probably. And the last thing we did is we did the gift shop. What a surprise. There's a gift shop at the end of the tour.
Yeah.
And there wasn't an awful lot of stuff that I was looking to get. But I did pick up a couple of fun things. I've got a Paramount mug here.
Yep.
Coffee mug.
Yep.
Checks out. It's legit for you.
Yeah. And I also got little magnet because we always have magnets from our trips.
Hold it up. There you go. Oh yeah, that's cool.
They had some really nice cups that had some gold leaf on them that were a lot more expensive than that mug. So I got this mug instead.
You have to use that picture of the sticker or the magnet that you just showed for your battle of Paramount Mountain.
Yeah, I should. Please stop making me think about that. Please stop making me think about that.
Yeah.
So that wraps up the studio tour. Lots of things that we saw that weren't Star Trek related that we did. We went. Oh, one of the Star Trek related thing is we saw the what I would call the wave pool, even though they can't make waves in it, that they use for filming the whale sequence when the bird of prey lands in San Francisco.
Mhm.
The interesting thing about that is it normally is used as a parking lot.
Yes.
Right.
So when they have to film something, everybody's really, upset. And it's this order of who has to move to where. Like the people that park in this section now have to park in that section. And the people that park in that section have to move into the next section. And the people that all the way down the chain to like the tour guide. She says, I was like somewhere like 3 miles away from the place when they were doing that stuff. Because they had filled it fairly recently. They still use it, but man, it takes a lot of water. And there's just one place for the water to come in. Just one inlet for it to, and that must take forever to do.
I was watching
It's not deep, but it's big.
Yeah, I was watching what was that, a documentary or something about that, and they showed, or I can't remember exactly, but they showed the parking lot. He was visiting filming locations, and he showed a parking lot, and this is where they filmed the whale scene. I was like, wow, it looks great. It's just a parking lot.
Also, the fact that, as I said, it's not that deep. So I'm thinking of the mechanics for the whale.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, that had to be just like right below the part you could see.
Razor thin.
Yeah, it is not deep at all.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just cost a lot of money to fill that thing.
I did go similar kind of tour. I did the Universal tour out there, and I saw the Hill Valley back. You recognize it from Back to the Future, but I saw that stuff, and we saw the where they take you back where Jaws is supposed to show up.
Yes,
I don't think they showed. I don't remember seeing Jaws himself. I think they took it away after a while.
No, it's still there. Matter of fact, we have a mug. We have a mug from the first time we went to Universal Studios Hollywood and did the tram tour. And I'm looking at all the stuff on the mug from 1984 when we first went. Only 2 things left that they still have are the actual tram, but what it's doing, they don't do anymore. Because going through this like revolving tunnel, that it gives you this really vertigo sense because you're in with this no frame of reference except you're just driving straight and the tunnel is spinning around. So, but the tram is still there and Jaws, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, I don't remember seeing it.
They
I would have thought, oh, cool, look, but
the mug also shows Cylons because there used to be a Cylon attack. The Wild Wild West stunt show, which was a stuntman show, and the Conan the Barbarian stunt show. So none of those things are there anymore.
I love Conan oh, I'm sorry, O'Brien.
No, not Conan. Conan the O'Brien.
I'm sorry, I just watched Conan Must Go first couple episodes a minute ago.
Well, let's.
But the tours were cool.
Yeah.
Especially seeing things like that you've seen a million times on film, and you're standing in it. Like the Hill Valley and all those things, and the tour guide's like, and this was used for filming this, and this. There's like a million movies that whole set's been in.
Well, I'll touch on that when we get to the next section.
All right.
What was my thought there? I lost my train of thought on what I was going to say, but
sorry.
That's okay. It's a train that has many, many cars on it, believe me. So there's always another car to switch over to. But let's come back from that first mission with an appropriate sound effect.
That's your cue, Chuck.
Oh, Now
in the
it
next
works.
room.
Now it works. See,
Yeah.
now the turbo lift works.
Yeah. Now in the
And-
next room.
And to begin the second half with an appropriate sound effect. Let's go
Eh,
to FanFest at Universal Studios Hollywood.
yeah.
This is the first time that Universal Studios Hollywood has done this. There's a creative team that works there that does, you may have heard of it, Halloween Horror Nights. And
Yes.
that's been going in Orlando and in Hollywood. I don't remember which did it first. I want to say Orlando did it first, but they both do it now. And so you have a team of creative people who work with all these different franchises, because all the things that are in Halloween Horror Nights are not Universal properties.
hmm
And so although they're working on it year round, they thought, well, let's have something a bit more engaging to do on this. Now that we kind of have the train rolling on, see, there's another train coming along, on how Halloween Horror Nights work. So this is the first year they've tried this. They're doing a similar type of thing, but with different franchises. So we have Back to the Future, Star Trek, Dungeons and Dragons, not the movie Dungeons and Dragons, but the actual property of Dungeons and Dragons. The anime One Piece, the anime Jujutsu Kaisen. They did stuff in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter that they have there.
hmm
They also have a Super Nintendo world, so you had some special meet and greets going on,
Cool.
and then a meet and greet with Glenda and Elphaban. The Wicked Witch. They had a meet and greet there as well. So all these different, and they had different levels of what the engagement was with the stuff. For Back to the Future, to your point, Craig,
Elphaba, by the way.
okay. What they did for Back to the Future, since they have Hill Valley right there,
hmm
you got on a tram and you went down into Hill Valley, and Hill Valley was completely decked out. So you get off the tram and you walk in, and there's a barbershop type quartet people at the gas station dressed as gas station attendants
Right.
singing, songs like doo-wop type songs.
Yes.
And they have further out down on that side, there's the Enchantment Under the Sea dance set up with a band playing.
Sweet.
They had the road that leads off, that the DeLorean goes down and leaves the fire behind. They had 2 strips of actual flame that just were there the entire time.
Oh, that's cool.
And then they had roving characters. Oh, you could also get your picture taken sitting in the DeLorean with Einstein.
Ooh.
They had, now I don't know how many dogs there were. Oh, spoiler alert, it might not have been the actual Einstein. But,
What?
I know. But the dog was the most patient dog ever. It just sat there,
hmm
and people come, kind of, I don't know whether they were told whether or not to pet the dog, but obviously most people would anyway.
Sure.
And I noticed that you stand here to take the picture of your friend, or the official photographer to take your friend sitting in the car with Einstein. Right behind who's ever taken the photo is the handler. So the dog is looking at the camera
Right. Yeah.
because the handler is right behind there.
He's the one with the hot dogs in his pocket, so he can. Yeah.
So at one point, they have, of course, you have to have the strike on the clock tower.
Yes.
Although they don't have the DeLorean come down. What they do is they projected that part of the movie on the courthouse
Oh, right.
building itself. And when the lightning was supposed to strike, like a firework went off at the top
Oh.
of the building.
Cool.
That's cool.
I turned back around because we were in a position where I could see where the DeLorean was. And I noticed the handler bringing out a dog. I'm thinking, okay, 2 things probably happened there. One, dog's been sitting there for an awful long time. Let's bring in the other dog that looks kind of like Einstein. Also, dogs do not like fireworks. So,
Oh no, poor
yeah,
thing.
so I'm saying what they did was, let's take the dog away during the boom
hmm
and then bring the dog back after the boom.
Oh,
Because everyone's watching that. They're not getting the picture taken at that point. So we got
hey, or maybe They
Mhm.
travel through time enough times. They had 2 or 3 Einsteins in one place at one time.
Hmm.
Just saying.
Well, one of the things we did was we ran into Biff. We ran into Biff because we're waiting to have our picture taken at the clock tower.
Excuse me, butthead.
No, this person goes by going, "Out of my way, old lady."
Okay.
And I'm going, "What the? Oh, it's Biff."
Oh, it's just Biff.
Yeah, I go, "Yeah, it's a good thing you kept on walking, Biff, and you're walking away, and you can't hear me saying that I would have done something if you were." So, we got we ran into the principal or the vice principal, who asked us our names, and of course we gave fake names.
Yeah.
And he's got his pad out and he's writing down. We get detention essentially. So he gives us the detention slip, and we were supposed to be back on Tuesday. And spoiler alert, we didn't go, so we're really in trouble now.
I'm Clinton Carmichael.
Yeah, no, I think Bonnie said my name is Joe. So
Hey, by the way, I will just to add, you're talking about all this Back to the Future stuff. I'm not going to go deep into it because this is your experience. But just the other night, we went to go see Back to the Future the musical.
Mhm.
Me and a couple of friends. That was amazing, and they did such a good job with that. And so when you're talking about Back to the Future, I'm thinking of that, and of course, the movie in the past. But if you ever get a chance to go see that, it's well worth it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's played in Boston or not yet. I'll have to
Yeah.
find out what the tour schedule is for it. Um, something else. Something else.
Chuck got bored and left.
He'll be back. He'll be back.
Yeah.
The other thing, what was it? Oh, so just as we're ready to leave, and the weird thing is that you take the tram down,
Mhm.
then they just drop you off, and you could stay all night long if you wanted to there. You didn't have to come back up and do anything else, but there's a certain rotation of things that they do. The three service people will car service people will sing, and then you have this other thing going on, and then something happens with Biff, and something happens with George, and so all those things will happen again and again and again and again and again if you stay there long enough. So I don't know how we got there when it wasn't very crowded, but by the time we left, there were people that were clearly staying, and it was very crowded.
Wow.
At that
Okay.
point. Just before we left, and I was wearing my Lower Decks uniform, I saw George, and he was talking to some people. He was clutching, his books and so forth. And I said, "I just want to tell you, George, that you should keep up with the science fiction stuff. Don't tell anyone, otherwise." And he says, "Oh, thank you, thank you." And he looks down and he goes, "What's that thing you're wearing on your your shirt there?" Because I've got my comm badge on.
Oh, it's just mustard. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I'm going, "Oh, yeah, that's nothing. That's just it's a family." And he looks over at Bonnie, and she's wearing her Topic is Trek shirt. And he goes, "You've got the same thing on yours. I'm gonna jot that down." He starts drawing it out. I'm going, "No, you don't have to do that. That's you can remember it. Don't do that." Created a time paradox right there. So
yeah,
that was no good. So that was the kind of thing that was going on for a couple of them. Dungeons and Dragons, Star Trek, and Back to the Future were these type of shows, if you will.
Even One Piece. I know some of these are different, like Paramount. I was like, I'm surprised that Paramount would.
Well, I noticed that pretty much on every piece of publicity that went out about FanFest, that was official stuff that went out. And I have on the screen a picture of the official poster, if you will, for FanFest nights. Star Trek is always first. So I think that was part of the deal that they struck, is we will let you have Star Trek for this, but we're first.
Okay.
So it was first before Back to the Future first.
That's pretty big. Yeah.
Right.
I noticed that you didn't put it in the list first.
No, because they can't stop me. It's like,
they can't stop.
Is Sherry Redstone going to come out? Oh, she might. Well, never mind.
No, you don't want that.
I don't want that. But things like One Piece was a meet and greet. Jujutsu Kaisen they were showing a movie that they show Universal Studios Japan, because they own that. They have a something for that anime show running in Japan.
Yes.
So various levels of puppetry and so forth going on with creatures you could meet in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. So different things going on, but a lot of the franchises also had specialty places to get things to eat and drink. And for Star Trek, that was at Quarks and 10 Forward.
Oh,
All right,
Quarks. We've been
right.
there,
Yes.
sort of.
Now, the thing is that if you're at the level of Star Trek The Experience, this was not. If you're at the level of even on Star Trek The Cruise, this is not, because this is a working theme park that this location stays Quarks throughout the day, but for most of the week, even though it's Quarks, it's still part of just a regular theme park. This is a place that just has an overlay on it to be Quarks
Right.
Cafe in here.
I
And
don't know,
across,
they got Plumik tea.
they do. So we I was looking for little Easter eggs and so forth, and way at the back on the top of one of the shelves, Morn is up
I
there
see that.
in a photo. We got some tribbles hanging around, things like that. Did I have another? Okay, so we
Oh.
we got some food from here, and I'm trying to see if I can get my other notes up here.
You know,
about-
that looks like the tray they had on Space Station with the tribbles. Like,
oh yes,
Space Station K7. Here's your
yeah, okay, so-
rations:
yeah.
a chicken sandwich and a cup of coffee.
no, well that is definitely the tribbles. So I had the Orion Hurricane, which is the one that is the green one. Big surprise there, which was coconut lime and pineapple rum, melon liqueur, lime juice, and green apple syrup topped with club soda.
I think you got your year's worth of sugar in one drink.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had the Vulcan fritters. Now, why did I get the Vulcan fritters? I was assured it was going to be vegetarian because it was Vulcan. And indeed it was. That was fried fritters served with hummus dusted with a red spice Vulcan logo. So I don't know if you can make out the IDIC symbol on
Yeah.
the
Oh, I
up
see.
there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now that you mentioned it, I see it now. Yeah.
Bonnie had the Plumik tea, which was raspberry iced tea topped with raspberries and a mint sprig. She said it was very good. It was nice and fruity.
Mhm.
And she had the Andorian red bat sandwich, which is that blue, purplish type looking thing.
There's nothing red about it. Did you say?
Well, it was herb marinated chicken breast served on a bao bun with garlic aioli, charred red onions, and arugula served with Andorian tuber root, which was the French fries.
oh,
During
okay.
tuber root.
Nice.
So
Very cool.
they had several, and the same thing was true. If you went to Mel's, which is the 50s diner that's permanently there, that was themed for Back to the Future, and you have certain milkshakes and so forth you could get there, and everyone had these things as well. And these were just all during the day you could go to get stuff at these places. The thing that I
Was it
didn't,
good?
it was good. It was good. I mean, it was better than standard theme park fare.
Sure.
So that's a plus right there. Plus, where we were sitting, we could see the meet and greet going on with Elphaba and Glinda the Good Witch.
Yeah.
Because it was like they were an afterthought. Like somebody said at Comcast Universal said, "Hey, where's Wicked and all this? We're just gonna this is gonna be on our Peacock when this thing comes out." So they put them in there at the very last minute.
Just push them in there.
But there was also specialty merchandise for all the different fandoms in the gift shop. However, what I didn't realize, because we went into one of the gift shops, one of the big ones, like the studio store,
Mhm.
is that they only put them out when Fan Fest begins. So the Fan Fest
Oh,
would begin at officially at 7. We had early access. I bought early access for it, and that got us in at 5:30. But the merchandise wasn't out when I was there. And apparently these things were indeed exclusive. So this is not supposed to be Star Trek stuff that will show up on StarTrek.com or something later on
Just
for
eBay.
sale. Yeah, just eBay, obviously.
What
one of
was
the-
it?
One of them was something related to a Tribble, but the other, one of the big ones that I thought I wanted to at least take a look at it, was a windbreaker that was designed to be sort of looking like the Star Trek Picard uniforms.
Okay.
But they weren't out, and I thought, maybe they sold out of them. Well, they hadn't sold out of them. They just hadn't put them out yet.
That's stupid. You pay for early access, and therefore you miss the window because you're there early. Oh well.
So they had Universal usually has just park admission, and then you can get their express pass, which is a fast pass type of thing where you jump to the front of the line once per attraction
Right.
anytime during the day. FanFest is what is referred to as a hard ticket event, which means you have to buy a separate ticket for FanFest, but you also have to buy the ticket to go to Universal. And they also had an express pass for that and a VIP tour for that. Well, we went for just the early access because it was the cheapest. And I figured, well, there's only so many things. And if we can knock out a few of them before the hordes show up, then we should be ahead of the game. And that's the way it worked out for us, which is why it wasn't very crowded when we went down to Hill Valley, because everybody hadn't shown up yet.
Right.
But by the time we left, they had. They also had a in between 10 Forward and Quarks, they had a photo op area set up.
Oh yeah.
So I took my photo. There I am in my nerd Star Trek.
Well, they really
contemplating
cleared
what-
out the rest of the furniture, didn't they?
Yeah.
Well, this is not the set on the attraction. This is built for photo ops,
Right.
thing that they had going on.
Sorry,
here.
Captain. We couldn't pay the bill. They repoed the seats.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you that
Right.
when I
Is to the Titan.
when I got on the when I was going on the tram, going through the line to get on the tram to go down to Hill Valley, I'm walking along and all of a sudden I hear moving along lower decks, and it's somebody in a Picard
Oh,
uniform, and so I start doing my boy. I'm like, oh my goodness, he recognized me. I'm somebody now, and Amber recognized me.
yeah.
And a couple of other times, like I was walking down one of the streets, I think to go to Quarks, and I just hear people going, lower decks, lower decks.
Yeah.
So I kept saying to Bonnie, I can see why they canceled that show. It's clearly unpopular.
Yeah.
Clearly unpopular.
That's right.
Ah, well. All right. But,
It was the cost of the choo-choo parties.
yeah, exactly. Especially when they went to
The
3
cleanup.
choose. That was like ridiculous.
It was a cleanup of the choo-choo parties.
But the thing you want to see is Star Trek Red Alert.
Yes.
All right. And if you've been to Star Trek The Experience, it's not quite like that. However, it was much more than I thought it was going to be, because, I had visions of, we'd all heard the story about they're going to be using the actual bridge that they painstakingly rebuilt with all those tiny little details
Really?
for the third season of Star Trek Picard.
Mhm.
And they did. And I thought, well, that's not a lot to base an attraction around. So, but it was more than that. And
Okay.
you'll see some parallels and things that aren't the same as the experience, but still. So you go to an entrance to a building, which is normally used for Halloween Horror Nights as one of their big haunts. It's like the Walking Dead one. It's a big building with lots of rooms in it. And the first thing you get is a briefing, because the concept is that you are going to travel to Athens Prime to visit the Fleet Museum.
Okay.
And so you're going to board a shuttle and you're going to go visit the Enterprise D. And I don't know in this briefing that they give how many times they mention Enterprise D. Like, was somebody confused about
Take a
what they're
drink.
going to see? I don't know. Yeah, it really.
Is it the D or is it part of the Saratoga?
Yeah, I'm
or whatever?
confused here. Yeah. Didn't you
Well-
use parts from the? Yeah, I didn't mention that. So once you've done with that, you board a shuttle. And I took some pictures. I didn't get everything, and some pictures just didn't come out. But you leave the briefing area and you go through the back entrance of a shuttle. It's like, they flip down
Mhm.
that bottom access port. You walk straight ahead and you can see a video screen, which just my camera did not pick it up well enough, of a warp field. And there's a chair there and a control panel, although no one's sitting in the chair. So I'm concerned as to why it's still going at warp. And you exit out the side of the,
The guy who was in the seat went, "Oh, screw this, I'm out."
that's right. Well, it's just as well because you exit out at warp, apparently, out the side door of the shuttle into the first area, which is the cargo bay of the Enterprise D. So you can see
Hmm.
here, that's where you come out of the shuttle. So they did a nice job of creating, like big set pieces here with this. And the back of it has the back parts of the tuna cells is when you're walking into the back part of it. Now you're in the cargo bay. So it's a big room. There are barrels all over the place and various things stacked and so forth. And then, of course, this is the exterior with a force field around it. And you see out the window that you're looking through, you see the Enterprise A in its mooring place at the Starfleet Museum.
Okay.
And
Or the New Jersey. Oh no, you said A. I'm sorry.
Yeah, A. And so you are being given a little bit of a briefing by the person in the Starfleet uniform who they had several different we went through twice, and I don't think we had the same cast both times. So you would have different people dressed as different aliens as well as humans, which Bonnie really appreciated, especially the Vulcans, you got Andorians, you got Orions, you got all sorts of,
Representation.
yeah, exactly.
Did
So
they think you were a cast member because you were in uniform?
Well, see, I made sure not to wear. I didn't have one. I thought, should
Yeah.
I get one? I said, no. I think
Hey,
that's confusing.
Yeah, just kind of stand against the wall like you belong there.
Well,
You watch
occasionally,
everybody go,
That's how you
Occasionally-
get the behind the scenes tour.
yeah. It's called
This
"This
way,
is what
everybody.
the police headquarters looks like."
Hey, I wear my tux and I get into special things. They think I was part of the orchestra.
Hey, what do they tell you? If you're going anywhere, just carry a ladder and nobody will question what you're doing.
That's right. Sir, this is a ladder store. Why did you bring that in here? Never mind.
Ladders.
So suddenly this thing starts breaking. This thing, this aberration starts working its way to the force field. And oh, don't worry, it can't break through the force field. And then big whoosh of air, and whatever this thing is, it's now inside the ship. So you are taken. We can't have you here. You need to. Well, let's get you move over to sick bay. So they shuttle everybody off, not using a shuttle, with you walking from room to room, and now you're in sick
Settle
bay.
everybody off.
Yes, and I must say that the ceilings in this place are very tall, so you'd hit the top of the set, and it would just be black or pipes and
Mhm.
so forth up there. They did have things in the roof. Sometimes you can see here there's a light over this section of sick bay. And the person in sick bay is trying to figure out what is going on because she's trying to do some scans, and suddenly all the scanning equipment and all of the monitors start saying access denied,
Mm.
and things are getting out of hand, and we go to yellow alert at that point. So she says, "Oh, we've got to get you out of here." So if anybody can figure out how to take care of this, it can be engineering. So I'm going to send you off to engineering. So you walk from that room to another room, and now you're in engineering. And
Got a
Engineering-
blonde Klingon there.
yes, plus we've got a warp core. Now people say, "Oh, the warp core was small." Look, dude, I mean, come on. It was pulsing, and it actually was releasing steam because I think we were on the verge of a warp core breach at one point, which is
Oh,
never a good thing.
always. If I had a
But-
dime.
But I tell you,
Warp core!
the people that wrote this and the people that were acting it were having the best time with it, because at one point the engineers are trying to figure out how to make this thing work, how to stabilize things and so forth, the containment field around the warp core and so forth, and they say in unison, "I know what we need to reverse the polarity."
polarity.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And then Clint as Boimler is going,
Oh, you don't think that I wasn't playing this up at some points? I tell you.
Lonnie's like, Clint,
Yeah.
where you at?
I
Again,
get
the warp
to,
core! The warp core's gonna go! Ah!
I get to eject the warp core. This is the greatest day.
Yeah.
Yeah, if only Shax was here.
That's
So
right.
of course, at that point, they need to shuttle you off again so you get into the turbo lift. And they made a point in the introductory video saying that they had put in special larger turbo lifts. So you're now in a room that's clearly not the size of a regular turbo lift. I
Mhm.
know, I've been on an Enterprise turbo lift, and this one moves as much as that one does. But
Yeah.
anyway,
When you
Um,
looking at this picture, I keep thinking of the safety video and from the experience, and it had the pregnant lady on there and the guy, and it said something like, "If you're pregnant, you're not supposed to be on this." And he taps her on the shoulder and walks off,
Mm.
leaves her.
The
sucks
cast
to be
member
you.
lady looks like she's checking her text messages.
Well, they're trying to get us to the shuttle bay.
Okay.
And suddenly we go to red alert in here, and the turbo lift changes its direction of where it's going, and the guy's panicking, trying to get the thing to no. Yes,
I'm just trying to get you in the mood.
exactly. So he's walking around, and he comes over to me at one point. He goes, you've got a uniform. No, I don't know. No, I can't do anything with this. No, get. So the doors open up and we end up on the bridge.
Yay!
Now, the weird thing about the bridge here, you can see the railing. So people weren't allowed to just kind of walk up on the bridge. But the weird thing is that unless you knew ahead of time that this was the actual screen used bridge from season 3 of Picard, it's not mentioned in anything.
Really?
Yeah, and I just found it amazing that they didn't play that up at all. That they just
They didn't want to shatter the illusion with the green exit sign over there on
Yeah.
the right.
Right. And it was, in fact, that bridge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, there's a photo that they had a bunch of people from all the different series, including 2 actors from Starfleet Academy, come in and do the tour. Heaven help the person who's having to be the actor in those scenes, because clearly they were riffing the entire time that this was happening, because it was Eugene, Tawny, LeVar, the 2 people from Starfleet Academy. I'm trying to think who else was there. Oh, one of LeVar's daughters, who was also in Picard, Will Wheaton, and a couple of other people were there for that. So when they get to the bridge, you see LeVar pointing stuff out to his daughter about things on the bridge that this set up this thing here, this and there. Will Wheaton sits in his seat, at the front, and is about to press buttons, and the video shows this woman with a badge coming over to talk to. She say, "Excuse me, and I don't know what that conversation was because it cuts there. And he's like, "You really shouldn't touch this stuff. It's very valuable." He's like, "This is where I work,
This is where I work.
Hello, traveler.
I was only on there for a few seasons, but you should remember me.
And you notice this set is a bit more elaborate as well, because you've got more of the dome. It doesn't.
Yep.
It still opens up at the top of it, but they did a much better job here. We have functioning lights. We're past the red alert at this stage, but it's in red alert when it happens. And we've got various things going on the screens, and the actors are racing around. And I noticed they don't press too hard. At first, I thought they didn't touch it at all, but if they had to do something with the actual set props, they were very careful with those, because those are expensive in this case. The other ones, I figured they manufactured, but not this.
The Star Trek, I don't know how accurate the Star Trek The Experience bridge was, but because we did the behind the scenes tour, I took a lot of up close pictures of a lot of things on there. And I remember finding like the little duck and, on the LCARS panel and the car and all that kind of stuff. So I would be curious to know how accurate that was compared to this.
I'm trying to remember. There was one room where they showed the cross section of the D.
Yeah, with the map of the various decks.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But it I think it was in engineering. I don't think it was on the bridge, but it had no detail whatsoever in it. Because the first thing I'd look for was where's the duck?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I realized-
that duck,
And then I realized there was no dolphin, there was no whale, there was no
yeah.
duck, there were no shuttles. It was just literally the cross section with
Oh.
red dots to indicate things in various locations.
Well, I know the Star Trek The Experience, the little gangway behind the captain's seat, it was larger because when they brought people in, that's where they brought them in to see the show as it was happening.
Mhm.
And so April was telling us that it was bigger in that part
Than the
from the
actual-
bridge.
yeah.
Yeah, since you didn't really have that with this set, I think this is the actual one used
Mhm.
in Picard as well. I think so. I think that the two front, the nav at the front and the 3 seats and the railing behind it, at least, are from the show. Because the room is more squarish, I don't know about the panels around. It might have used the panels, but maybe had to make new housings for them to fit with what they had because they had to work with a different size space in what
Right.
they were doing and account for having people and the railings and so forth in the room as well.
Really? Did you see if the panels were overlays or were they LCDs?
I didn't get a chance. The
Really?
ones that I could see were clearly illuminated panels, just like
Okay.
in the old days.
Clinton's walking around with his little jeweler's lens.
Yes.
Yeah.
sorry, but
Checking
the
out
pixels-
everything.
Pixels per inch is completely wrong for this time
One of those
period.
guys who inspects rocks go up close.
I'm sorry, the spacing on this panel in regards to the wood is not correct.
But we enter in red alert because this thing is now right in front of the view screen, and this is where things take a turn that I thought, well, good on you. I can see where a lot of people would be disappointed in this, but good on you for sticking to the guns of what Trek is, because
Mhm.
it turns out that this entity didn't realize that there were people, and it now knows that these are people and that you come from the stars the same as we do, and we may meet again, and it leaves, and they're all excited because they've made first contact with something. So that, rather than having a space battle with the Klingons or something, that was the finale of the piece.
Picard, we're here to get your ancestors so you will never be born.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna do
No,
that.
that's the other.
One of you. in this room.
I just used that line like
Yeah,
2 days ago.
I
And then they say
don't doubt it.
we've got to get you to the transporters, and the transporters, you hear the sound of the transporter, but you walk through a mist wall to go back outside. So you just kind of
Hmm.
hear the sound. And
Oh,
then,
not as realistic.
no. Like I said, certain things, I definitely would get Star Trek: The Experience vibes from it.
Mhm.
Right.
But, this is something that's put up in less than 6 months and is going to be torn down
Sure.
right after that.
But not that bridge.
No, the bridge will go back to Paramount, but
Yeah.
and I don't know, because no one knows at this point, A, if they will do FanFest again, because this was the first time they tried it,
Uh-huh.
and B, would they want to repeat the same fandoms, or would they want different fandoms in there? So you might have Star Trek again, and you might not, because they might go, well, we want to get, Battlestar Galactica fans, which is a universal,
Yeah.
franchise or something. So don't know what will happen at this point. I do want to say that I knew that there would be stuff on the panels, right? That, because I was looking for the duck and there was no duck. I couldn't get a clear enough shot from where I was of a lot of different panels to see if there were little Easter eggs in it. So the last time we leave the turbo lift, because we did it twice, I took a picture of the that's us with the entity leaving. There's that nerd with the Starfleet uniform on there. I took a picture of this
Mhm.
panel for the door, and I know it's hard to read. I couldn't figure out how to blow this up, but you've got numbers.
Mhm.
And you've got the basic LCARS type of conceit here with the buttons are set up, and then you have letters after it. And I sat there and I looked at them.
People's
long
names.
Right. So it took me a minute because I don't know which one I start. Well, I think because I started with the first one,
Yeah, that's a tough
the
one.
word really threw me. But So what they were was RI space BER, which would be Rick Berman.
Yep.
Oh, of
PA
course.
space STE for Patrick Stewart. JOFRA for Jonathan Frakes. MIPIL, which would be another tough one. That's Michael Pillar. BRSPI for Brent Spiner. LEBUR for LeVar Burton. And GAMCF for Gates McFadden. So I'm sure the set was loaded with this kind of stuff. I just, I looked at the pictures afterwards. I go, I can almost make out what that says, but I'd be guessing, and I don't think that's gonna.
Number 7 is blank, but it should have said SU space WES. Shut up, Wesley.
Yeah, shut up, Wesley. I thought I had a picture of similar from the experience. I was just looking at some panel because I took pictures of any little panel I saw because I knew this whole thing was going away. The experience. So I would want to document as best I can. But I was looking. I don't know. I don't see it right off the bat. But interesting. All right.
So like I said, somebody else may have photos of more in depth of the consoles, and because I actually looked myself for like Easter eggs. All I heard was somebody with the production said there'll be lots of Easter eggs for the fans, and then I could not find any list of these Easter eggs. So I'm like,
the one time they say, yeah.
I think
That's
Michael Laputa talked about some of that stuff on the Star Trek cruise a couple of years ago. He was talking about the different panels and what they designed and put some Easter eggs in there.
right. And the different displays you would have like that. I think one of them like listed one of the things that Data looks at one time is lists all the doctors of, all the actors who played Doctor Who or something, things like that.
Yeah.
Because Star Trek and Doctor Who.
So that is my report on the Paramount Studios tour, the Paramount Studios studio tour, and the Universal Studios Hollywood Fan Fest nights.
So would you recommend it if somebody wanted to go next year and they did something similar?
If they did something similar, I definitely would go. I mean, recommend that people go, and I might even go myself if they did something. It really is. You have to know what the franchises are, and they publicize that way ahead of time. We talked about this on The Topic is Trek when they first announced it, which was got to be close to like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So that's when I said, "Oh, well, I'm going to definitely go and see that." So you'll have time to to get your tickets for it and book a trip to go.
As long as it doesn't conflict with work, Craig.
I can work around work.
But can you tier the tour tiers and try to?
Oh, there will be tears.
I can tear all the tears.
All right. So if no one has any questions, that about wraps it up for me.
Wait, you said there'd be a test.
Well, the test was, what is this?
Prop.
Not a speeder bike.
Yeah.
Speeder thing.
Oh, okay. I thought
I still think if you turn it upside down,
No, if you turn it upside down, it turns into the Reliant.
Oh.
the Reliant.
Wait a minute now.
Or is it regular one? I forget. Both of those are upside down.
That's right. Yeah, and shout out to all the actors, not only in this, but also in the Back to the Future one, and the actors who were in the Dungeons and Dragons one, which we didn't talk about, but it was a fun story, and they had a huge Jim Henson puppet in there for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it'll be hit or miss if they do it again, as far as are the fandoms that they're going to address ones that you're interested in, right? Because if you go, oh well, I don't know any of these franchises, I think it won't be as interactive for you because you don't really know about it. I mean, you can study it ahead of time. We happen to, unrelated to this, we happen to have watched this first season of the live action version of One Piece, as opposed to the 500 episodes there are of the anime series.
Yeah.
And the 5 actors who are the leads, at least by the end of the first season, were the ones who were face characters who did meet and greets. And I was going to have my picture taken with them, but man, were they popular.
Wow.
There were lines and lines and they split them up into like 3 different sections, and there were lines for all of them. So it's going to depend on what they have. Because I think for Universal itself, they've got a treasure trove of stuff, including things they've got there. You could have a Psycho one where you go to the Bates Motel, right?
Yep.
You could do a Jaws thing where you get something where, the shark shoots. So they've got stuff for years to be their part of it. It's just what else might they pull in addition to that. All right, time to come back from our second main mission.
Do you need a sound effect?
Sure, why not?
The main viewing screen is always something worth watching.
I feel like I've seen that recently. And you can find me, Clinton, at Comedy Forecast, all one word with the number 4. I've been very lax. I released the latest episode to the patrons before I went on this trip, and now I've got to get it out to everyone else. So hopefully in the next day or two, that will be out to everyone. And another episode will be on its way soon after that, involving a certain Danny Hillcrest, who will be talking about movies coming out this summer.
Oh,
Ooh.
is summer spectacular? Is it ready? Yay!
And who speaks for you guys?
Chuck does.
No, go ahead, Craig.
No, you go ahead, Chuck. You're retired. This is the only thing. You only have one job. This is it.
I only have one job. You're funny. You can find us by searching for Technorama Podcast on the internet. You will most likely wind up at our website, chuckchat.com, where Craig and I do a weekly show about tech and science and sci-fi, and we just nerd out on news stories and geek-related history, retro futures, all kinds of fun stuff. Been doing that for 20 years now. Wow.
Mhm.
And going. And going.
So
And
if
I
you
wish
search
that-
for Technorama and you come across the Swiss Science Center,
that's not
that's
the right
wrong.
one.
It's incorrect.
It's a cool place, but it's not right.
That's right.
It's a cool place, so it's clearly not them. But anyway, I I want to tell you, I'm here all week.
Gold, Jerry.
Yeah.
All right. All that said, it's time to hit the theme, boys.
Is it really?
It is.
Aw.
We don't want to hit it. We might hurt it.
All right, just tap it lightly. If you like the show, please be sure to tell a friend about it and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you. Follow us on Blue Sky at The Topic is Trek, visit our Facebook page, or call us at 816-TREKKER. That's 816-873-5537. Until next time, on behalf of Chuck, Craig, and myself, I'm Clinton, thanking you for listening. And as we always say here on The Topic is Trek, don't
Don't
Put on
run the red shirt.
like these jerks.
6 words to live by.
That's right.
like one of those words is a contraction. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Yes, excuse me.
Audio
All
is done. Would Data say do
There you
not
go.
put on the red shirt then? Oh, it's the Borgo Loungers. That's from the Star Trek experience.
mhm. But that's not
You guys
that's
know.
not stage ready though.
Look at the fan. The fan is in the right spot to cool off these guys.
Mhm. Yeah. So going through that thing really kind of made me. I wouldn't say appreciate the experience because this wasn't up to that, because I appreciate the Star Trek experience to begin with, and these people were not aiming for that level.
Sure.
But just the idea of like going someplace and you're doing a Star Trek thing at a theme park.
Yeah.
was like, wow, let's have more of that, please.
So what were the dates you were there?
I was there on the
Just a week or so ago, right?
third. Yeah, it was the third, I think. What was the
Okay.
Friday? Friday the second. Friday the second.
Okay.
And this coming weekend is the last weekend of it.
Wow. That's quick.
Yeah. I think that it might get extended dates probably in future years, but I think this was like, we're just testing the waters this time. We're not sure how this is going to work out. And if it works out, we'll expand it at that point, which is the same thing happened with Halloween Horror Nights. It was like a couple of weekends and it kept getting longer and longer and longer.
Oh, I meant to put
Watch
a
it next year.
comment up here that Jared said that he worked at the Halloween Hollywood Nights.
Yeah.
So
Cool, cool,
ticketing.
cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
thanks
now
for
that-
hanging out with us, Jared.
All righty. Well, we're going to end the live broadcast now. We're going to be talking about some other stuff, some planning things, and we will catch you on the next one.
A
Thanks,
meeting.
everybody. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.